to another episode of Sensational Sunday. And it has been a moment, a very long moment, but we are happy to be in this space again. Now, today, we are dealing with something that's kind of gripping a lot of us. We're talking about grief and loss and I'm happy to welcome a guest in the studio. It's not his first time, and the last time he was here, it's still having a profound effect on me. Yes, I know a few of you have read the book, yes, The Will to Heal. And today, joining us again in the studio is Pastor Emile Maxi. Welcome, Pastor Maxi.
Thank you. Thank you. It is such a pleasure to join you today.
It is indeed a pleasure to have you. And, I don't know if you recognize, I have been listening to your audiobook, not
Oh,
once, more than once.
glad
Yes.
to hear.
And as a matter of fact, I have gifted a few of my friends that very book. And one thing that resonates with me is the fact that you have a deep desire to help and you cannot reach every single person, but with your book, and I know it's now books, with your books, you are able to impact lives. So I want to reintroduce you to our listening and our viewing audience. Tell us where you are located and what is your line of work? What occupies your time?
Thank you so much for that. Well, I am in a city called Oshawa in Ontario, Canada. And Oshawa is located just about 45 minutes east of Toronto.
Right.
And so currently I serve as a vice president for administration for the Ontario Conference. And so I also do quite a bit of, you would call it speaking engagements, talking about mental health and grief and emotional health. And that keeps me busy because it seems as if this has occupied the minds of many, especially since the pandemic. Not that it did not exist before, but the pandemic actually brought it up even more.
So can you tell me why do you have this, should I say, a call on your life or a passion that's causing you to reach person, whether through speaking or writing? What drives you? What is the heart of what keeps you going?
People, because when you actually look at those around you and those around me, those around us, so it seems as if we are all suffering. And this comes as a result of many things. And these are the things that we have not resolved. And as a result of that, they seem to control our lives. And so, whether you go to a school or you go to church or you go to work, everybody is suffering. So, as a result of that, because everybody is suffering and unable to address their unresolved emotional issues, and that causes them to be always angry, always upset, and anger seems to be dominating the minds of many. And as a result of that, well, if I'm not happy, therefore you should not be happy, right? So that is basically why. And for me, that is my way of, making my contribution to the world so that regardless of what happened in the past, you can take control of now.
And it's so important that you mentioned that because I remember when I read your book, The Will to Heal, it was speaking about not only loss in terms of death, but loss in terms of a job or a situation, anything that a spouse, not necessarily through death. But recently, I have had the unfortunate experience, Pastor Maxi, of dealing with grief on a personal level, having lost
Mm.
my brother-in-law just 2 months ago suddenly, and
Oh.
the impact still resonates. It's still a fresh wound, and
Mm.
if I could express the grief that is felt even among the family at this point, then I would just be touching the tip of the iceberg. And when I view my own experience and I see so many persons, it's almost everyone is being touched in one way or the other. And as you said, it affects persons differently. How they interact with you, they can be
Mhm.
mad, they can be upset, they can be unfriendly, they can be unkind, and they can also become ill. But
Mhm.
one of the things too I notice is that we have said there's no health without mental health.
That's right.
So many persons are hurting, are grieving, and
Yeah.
have issues too as a result of loss. Now, tell us a little bit about what we can do to mend these broken wounds, how we can heal, and how your book, because I noticed that you have a new book out, how you are helping persons deal with these situations.
That's a good question. So since we last spoke, and that was quite a while back, so after I wrote the book, The Will to Heal, and I have two books out since, and the second one actually is entitled The Unhealed Wounds of My Father. And so this one actually deals with a lot of personal stuff, right? And it also comes with a workbook. And my latest book, which actually was launched just a few days ago, and the title of it is The Diary of a Grieving Heart. Now, when you actually look at it, who is not grieving? Everyone is grieving something, you know? And so the problem is we cannot address the whole issue of grief until we are aware of it. So, I have developed a very simple strategy to help deal with the whole matter of grief, and I call it the triple A factor:
Mhm.
awareness, acceptance, and action, right? So you really cannot deal with any problem until you're aware that you have a problem, right? And you define what that problem is. So once
Yes.
you're aware of it, then the next step is to accept the fact that you have a problem.
Hmm.
And whether that problem is with a spouse, with a child, with a coworker, with a family member, with life, and as a grief recovery specialist, quite often I even say to people, it can be even against God, right? Because quite often when things happen, we ask the question, God, where are you?
Where are you?
That's right, right. And the second one is, God, why me? Right? And the third one, how could such a good God allow this to happen? Right? So as a result of that, we develop lots of anger issues. Now, once we have been made aware of that and we accept the fact that we have a problem, the next step is action. So nothing happens until we take action.
But I must
Right.
ask you, I don't want to interrupt, but is it okay to be angry? Is it okay? Is it okay that you did not really deserve this situation, this loss, or this pain? Is it okay to be angry?
That's a good question. I would say it is okay because until you accept the fact that you are angry, you cannot get control of it. You cannot take control of it, right? So, however, it's what you do with that anger that matters.
Yes, what you do with that anger that matters. So you were telling us, you're outlining the steps now that you've discovered, but maybe I don't realize what is happening, but a family member or relative or a colleague realizes that, okay, Elise is not quite the same. And I know she's, but I have not yet seen the change. What can I do to assist someone who might be, not yet accepting because having not yet come to the knowledge? How can we help that person?
You know, that is the big issue because for you to be able to help me, I have
Yes,
got to trust you.
yes.
Okay, I have got to believe that you want the best for me, right? So that when you talk to me, I feel that you are talking based on the fact that you have an interest,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as a result of that, one thing that is extremely important is the whole matter of connection, right? And I am going to use the term, we cannot correct until we connect, right? So therefore, when I am going through my crucibles, right? So it is extremely important that I surround myself with a network of friends and family members who want the best for me.
Don't
So
walk
that
alone.
don't
Don't
walk
walk alone.
alone.
Don't walk alone.
Yeah, you need a network. And it is that network that's going to help you get out of the valley that you are in.
And in recent years, we have been taught to be so self-sufficient, right? I have everything I need. I try not to get too involved with persons because then maybe we have lost even trust. And the world itself right now, it it really promotes the idea of going the journey, and you can almost get everything you need on your own. You really rarely need anyone. As a matter of fact, I have a selfie stick. I normally would have been stopping you. Could you take a picture for me? No, not necessary anymore. I have everything covered, but now you're opening that door again, reminding us that community really does matter. And that is
Absolutely.
why we have this program. And today, especially, I want to dedicate this program and this conversation to persons who are experiencing loss, or persons who are in a place of pain, and perhaps in a place of loneliness. And you might have switched, or you might have gotten this link. We are not just here because we like to be here. We are here because we have a message for you. And that message you will get sometime during this conversation. So I want to reintroduce you to my guest today, Pastor Emile Maxi. He has years of experience, but what speaks to me most is his passion and his desire to help persons, not only in his immediate vicinity, but anywhere across the world. Now, hurting people, they do hurt people. And I don't know what's making you hurt, but I hope that this conversation will be beneficial to you, to me, to us. It's not a therapy session, but certainly the conversation opens the door sometimes to a situation that you're not quite sure what's happening and you probably need help. Now, tell us a little bit more about this last project that is just recently launched.
You know, Elise, I will say this. After I wrote the second book, and that is The Unhealed Wounds of My Father,
Yes.
and I wrote the book, I did not plan to do a workbook to neither The Will to Heal nor to The Unhealed Wounds of My Father. And as the book, went worldwide, and people started to reach out to say, "Hey, Emile, do you have a workbook?" And I said, "No." And they asked, "Did you plan to write one?" I said, "No, I did not." They said, "Well, it would have been good because after going through this stuff, we have so much to deal with." So I prepared that, and I so since then, so each of the first two books, they have their own workbook. And you know what? One of the things that I was doing one day, I was sitting and reflecting on we are all hurting. And not everyone either has the money
Hmm.
to pay, for these kind of services because
Therapy.
I
Yes.
for therapy because I don't know what it is like elsewhere or wherever you are. But here in Canada, you're looking to see a grief recovery specialist, like a colleague of mine. So you're looking at anywhere between $160 to $200 per hour, right? And usually you're looking at a minimum of 10 sessions. So not a lot of people have that kind of money. And if you're looking for a psychotherapist, it's about the same. So I said, you know what? God has placed us here on this planet Earth to effect change. And we should be able to do that. And for me as a person, I said, if I could actually put all my years of experience together, and I put that in a book, right? And so people from wherever they are, they can, in the comfort of their home, sit with a book in their hand and a workbook and work on themselves. Hence, the Diary of a Grieving Heart.
I'm ready for
It,
that book.
it came out, to be honest with you, because, and I'll tell you this, Elise, I was going through my own personal loss, or losses for that matter, and my heart was aching, right? And I had to be able to deal with my own losses. And so as I started writing the third book, The Diary of a Grieving Heart, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I am going to write it in such a way that there is no escape. Because for the first two books, the book comes by itself and the workbook by itself. But for this one, I incorporate the workbook as part of the book. So that as you finish reading chapter one, you have no choice. You cannot jump to chapter two unless you sit down and do the answers. You answer the questions asked, and I lead you through addressing the grief. And guess what, Elise? The thing about it is that for most of us, if not all of us, we are dealing with something. And because we don't want to face the giant within, the giant is eating us up alive, right? So therefore, I am here saying it doesn't matter where you are in life or where I am in life. There is always something. Life always has something that it throws at us. But the problem, we tend to put on a mask, right? Believing that, or at least making people believe that everything is okay. It's almost like Halloween, right? Once a year, we see children wearing masks during Halloween, at least, for those who celebrate Halloweens, right? And the difference between them and us sometimes is that for them, they wear a mask just for a few hours, right? During Halloween. But for most of us, we wear the mask 365, right? All year round, and we don't take it off. So now in the book, The Diary of a Grieving Heart, I actually accompany, right, the person to examine the grief in their lives and what is causing them to be unhappy, what is causing them to be always lashing at the ones who love them the most, their spouse, their children, their cousins, their brothers, their sisters, and so forth and so on, so that at least they can get rid of all of that by dealing with the hurt, the anger, the animosity, and the list goes on. And better yet, because, and I'm going to say this, I'm a Christian, I make all of this Bible based.
Well, there are several things that come to mind, Pastor Maxi, and having written three books, all of them addressing something along a similar line. What impact? You said you were dealing with your own. What is the most remarkable thing or the remarkable change, impact that these books have had on your own life?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. To be honest with you, the very first person that got touched by these books is right here. And that's me. And there were times after writing a page or two, I found myself, sobbing, crying because of stuff that all right here inside in the heart, but never came out. So now, after I have written these books, believing in the transformation that they have wrought, brought such a peace in me, right? It causes me to be calm, even in the face of adversity,
In
even
the
in
midst
the
of the
face of,
storm.
yes, absolutely, absolutely, even in the midst of the storm. They cause me to maintain my calm because
Yes,
it is in the calm that you will be able to get throughout your storm.
yes, yes. And one line I remember that has stuck with me having read the book is forgiveness is a gift you give yourself.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm sure there are so many benefits. And as I contemplate your third book, working on your own self, actually sitting down and trying to get yourself in the place you need to go to let go, yes, to
Yes.
achieve healing, because we don't live in a perfect world. That's the
No.
unfortunate thing. We will experience loss, pain, and grief. Now, you're listening to Sensational Sunday. I'm your girl Elise, and I'm joined by Pastor Emile Maxi. Stick and stay with us. We'll go for a short break, and then we'll continue the conversation.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Welcome back to Sensational Sunday. It is another beautiful, heartwarming, sensational, inspirational, soothing, therapeutic episode. And that leads me to this question. I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian, and I've been a Christian all my life. And yet I'm going through the worst experiences that you could ever think of. What answer can you give to someone who find themselves asking the question, what have I done to deserve this? in a place of loss and grief, and sometimes without any answers, searching the Bible, speaking with a minister, what answer can you give to someone in that situation?
Sometimes the best answer is silence. Um, because in silence, quite often we find our answers. And one of the things I believe, Elise, that happens to us as parents, when we have little ones and we
Yes.
see them going through pain, they are
Mhm.
griping, right? But because they're little babies, they don't talk yet, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you actually, as a parent, you see them crying and you
Mm-hmm.
wish you could know what is causing that pain.
Yes.
But deep down, you're in pain yourself because you wish you could help that child. Now, listen to this. The same child whom you would have seen when he or she was, I don't know, 3 months and 6 months or a year, crying for pain, and you don't know and what is wrong, and the child cannot say what is wrong, and you are
Right.
suffering. 18 years later, that child becomes an adult and making choices for himself or herself. And as a result of that, you are actually looking at that child making the wrong mistakes, and you are suffering in a different way. So, because we are parents, God allows us to become parents for a reason.
Right.
So that by looking at our children, the mistakes that they made, in spite of the fact that we would have forewarned them that we
Yes.
are suffering
Mm-hmm.
inside, helps us to understand that God is not the originator of our pain. So when we are suffering, the first person who suffers is God, because He sees us and He is the one who created us and He knew the plans that He had for us, right? And to see as a result of sin and the mess that we are in. Now He is looking at us. Now listen to this. The most beautiful part of it all is that while God did not create or cause our scars, but He wants us to trust Him with our scars because He wants to turn our scars into stars for His glory.
Say
So
that
in
again. Say that again. He wants to turn our scars
into
into
stars
stars
for
for
His
His
glory.
glory.
That's right. So He is not the one who caused our scars, but He wants us to trust Him with our scars because He wants to turn our scars into stars for His glory. For that to happen, you have got to trust Him. You have got to trust the process. So that while you would have gone through your loss and you define that loss, whether it is as a result of death of a loved one, it is as a result of separation or divorce, it is as a result of loss of a job or loss of health, loss of finances, and the list goes on. He wants you to trust Him because guess what? He wants to turn your scars into stars because He's not finished with you yet.
Wonderful. And the workbook that you have now recently released, how, persons are busy. I sometimes we barely have the time to keep in touch or keep up with our own selves, our own lives, and life throws so many things at us. I had a conversation with a friend recently, and she was saying, when we become adults, we have less time to check on other persons. We have our own responsibilities, and life is so busy, we really, really are strapped for time. Now, when you mention a workbook, um, how can we navigate our busy lives, right? And taking care, because this, I believe, is self-care. It's a part of making you be able to survive, and not only survive, but that word, there's a magic word that you used earlier, peace. That
That's right.
peace is
That's right.
very important.
That's right.
Tell us how we can try to, you know, despite what is happening around us or in the world or what we think, we can step out of this to take care of me, myself, my brother, my sister. Then, just one word of advice how we can fix the narrative a little bit.
Well, we are living in a world where everything is fast, super fast, right? We
Yes.
love even fast food because we don't have time to prepare a good meal, right? So I would say when it comes to taking care of yourself, there is no shortcut to it. There is no shortcut. Because if you do not take care of yourself, if you do not take the time to care for yourself, to nourish this body, nourish this mind, the time will come when the body is going to give up and you will find yourself on a hospital's bed looking up, and you're going to be forced at that time to take the rest. But it doesn't have to be so. So, in a very simple phrase, self care, look at your community, right? So just as you're part of a community, just as you can bless that community can be a blessing to you as well, right? So take the time to at least pay attention to what's happening in the life of a friend. Pay a listening ear. You don't have to have anything to say. Quite often, they don't even want you to give advice, right? Just listen, right? And the second thing I would say, take the time to invest in yourself. Anytime you spend to invest in yourself is not an expense, it is an investment, right? And I was talking with a friend the other day and said, wow, so a workbook, I have to work on myself. Well, I say, you know what? I read a lot, and I have decided that I'm not going to spend my money to buy a book and to read the book, and after that, just toss it away. So I've got to work the book. I have to make it work for me. So the workbook actually allows you to stop and reflect on the things that are meaningful to you. Guess what? Because when you are changed, everything around you will be changed. When you work on yourself, you are going to change the dynamics around you. When you have that peace that passes all understanding, your children will not have to tiptoe around you anymore. Your spouse will not have to sit in silence. But when you are changed, when you have that peace that passes all understanding, because you will have spent time to invest in yourself, read a good book, and take time to do whatever the workbook says to address the unresolved issues in the comfort of your home, you're going to realize you are going to be a blessing because God wants to use you to transform the world one person at a time, and it begins with you.
I love that. I love that. I say thank you. Why? Because you have heeded the call. God has placed a call on your life to reach others. And what makes it more exciting is that that connection with God allows you to just merge that experience and the knowledge from the therapeutic and the counseling aspect into the biblical aspect. And certainly, I know that this will add to not just your library, but add to the quality of your life. Is this book easily accessible for those of us in the Cayman Islands, Caribbean, US, UK? Because we have listeners all over the world. How accessible is this book? Is it on Amazon, the workbook?
Yes, so all of them, they are on Amazon. So you can actually access them anywhere you are in the world because Amazon is basically everywhere. And
Yes.
that is the beautiful, the books as well as the workbooks.
Okay, so what I'll do, I will definitely add the names of the books and the links perhaps in the description of this video so that our viewers can go back and have a look at these books and not only just look, but allow them to change their lives. Before we get out of here, though, Pastor Maxi, I want you to just minister, just speak to a hurting heart. I know you have said quite a mouthful, and I was quite impressed to reach out to you because I recognize that so many persons are hurting, and some persons are hurting alone because that element of trust that you mentioned, it's not existent. They don't find that there's anyone they can trust with themselves when they're going through the really, really tough valley experiences. And a hand, and maybe it could be a gift of this book or something to help someone not only just barely pull themselves through life, but to embrace life, even in the valley experience. So I'm gonna just allow you to do that as we wrap up. Just let somebody know how important it is to God place them here for a reason. So, just let them know.
Elise, I would say, the most important thing is that God is a wonderful God. And there is nobody who comes in your life by chance. It's by design. God ordained it that way. So, as a result of that, regardless of what you are going through, bear in mind that there is somebody who is going through something similar or worse. And when you allow yourself to be used by God, don't allow whatever that is happening to you to break you, but rather to make you. It's going to help you understand the person next door better. So that as you go through the shadow of the valley of death, you will fear no evil. Why? Because you know your Heavenly Father is with you. And your steps are ordered. And allow Him to use the crucibles in your life to refine you to the goal that He wants you to become. Don't give hope. Don't give up hope. Remain resilient. Maintain a positive mental attitude. And that will make a big difference. Well, you may be going through stuff right now. You may be going through a separation. You may be going through a divorce. You may have lost a friend. You may have lost a relative or a parent. And you may be having some health challenges. But you know what? What is going to make the big difference is this: it is not going to break you. And you will not allow it to break you. You will rather allow it to make you so that when you come out of the storm, the, the person who is either in the storm, because you have just come out of that storm, you will be in a position to help that person come out of that storm. Why? Because you were in it. And God allows you to have been in it and to come out of it so that you can better understand somebody who is in it. And when you look at it from this point of view, the very presence of that mindset will change it all.
Thank you, Pastor Maxi. That is so profound. I want to thank you again for answering the call and not only rising to the occasion, but taking time out of your busy schedule. This you said this is an ordained meeting and an ordained podcast. This episode is for someone out there listening and realizing that there is hope. There is hope. And it starts with the decision and the recognition and the acceptance. Thank you so much, Pastor Maxi. I know I have been so impacted by your ministry.
The the latest one, it looks like this.
Ah, the diary of a grieving heart.
That
Yes.
that's right. And
Okay.
so the way it is written, there's a workbook in the book to help you deal with whatever you need to deal with.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Appreciate the work that you have been doing up there in Canada. I want to wish you and your family all the best. And for your ministry, may God continue to bless you abundantly more than you can ever ask, think, or imagine. Thank you for those words of comfort, for inspiration, and more importantly, the opportunity to have a sit down and conversation. I will get a copy of that book, and of course, I will share it with persons who want to find out more about the Diary of a Grieving Heart. Thank you so much, Pastor Maxi. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Sensational Sunday.
It is a pleasure. May God bless you and your ministry and all those who are listening. I pray that God will allow you to understand that He is very much present in your life. He has never left you, never forsaken you. God bless.
Thank you.
Bless you.